Hello, and thanks for joining us for Inside Edition Inspirational. This episode is all about love. We start off with two high school sweethearts who wed after 60 years apart.
You may kiss the bride.
It's a wedding more than 6 decades in the making. Bob Harvey and Annette Atkins first met back in 1955 as high school juniors in Virginia.
When she walked through the door, I looked and I said, oh my gosh, here's the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. I fell totally 100% lifetime soulmate in love with this woman.
Young love blossomed and the pair went to prom together.
I think I was pretty happy. And Bob looks like he's in dreamland.
Hey, I was in love, period.
After high school, they lost touch. Each got married and had a family. But Bob never stopped thinking about Annette. In July, he Googled her and learned that, like him, she'd been widowed. The now 80-year-olds reconnected on the phone, and Annette invited Bob for a visit.
She opened the door and my heart jumped out. I walked over, I handed her some flowers. I took her face in my hands and I said, you're beautiful. I love you, and I'm going to kiss you whether you like it or not. And it was 1956 all over again. My heart was just pounding.
We were there as the couple made their love official. They celebrated at, where else, a 50s-style diner. And danced to Johnny Mathis on the jukebox as if they were at prom all over again.
Oh, chances are, your chances are.
A couple of high school sweethearts finally tied the knot after 64 years. 81-year-olds Joyce Kevorkian and Jim Bowman dated during their senior year of high school in Illinois, but they went their separate ways for college. They both went on to marry other people, marriages that lasted for more than 50 years until their spouses died. As the organizer of their school reunion, Jim reached out to Joyce, and once they got to talking, they didn't want to stop. They would spend an hour on the phone every night, according to Joyce's granddaughter. The two got together after Jim drove to see Joyce in Indiana and stayed for a week. A few days after he got home, he called her up to ask her to marry him. They wed at Joyce's retirement home on April 1st, proving love can last a lifetime.
Promise me we'll still be sweethearts.
This husband and wife of 68 years are really in tune with one another. In fact, 87-year-old Rosemary and Francis Clance are a perfect match, literally.
This is our closet, and everything matches, and if it doesn't match, it goes out.
This plum-colored combo is one of their favorites.
I like the shirt because it fits me and she likes the color.
Francis first laid eyes on Rosemary in 9th grade.
I said, ooh, what a cute little gal.
Rosemary liked Francis, but thought he needed help in the wardrobe department.
I was very conscious of his attire, and some of it was questionable. So I helped him.
She helped.
They married when they were 19 years old, and Rosemary has been coordinating their outfits ever since.
Dressing alike is simple for me because I don't have to worry. So she still, even at our age, still usually lays out the clothes that she thinks I ought to wear that day.
Grandson Jonathan says he used to make fun of his matching grandparents.
I was actually probably the one that roused them the most.
But check him out now. He's matching with his fiancée, Cassie. They even started a his and hers matching clothing line called Baisies.
On our first date, he told me that his grandparents had matched since the day that they started dating. And I looked at him and I said, can we do that? And he said, yes. There was so much positive recognition off matching, and I'm sure they know. People stop you and say, oh, it's so sweet.
What better way to continue the family tradition?
Hey, look at this one.
All four are shopping for matching outfits at Kohl's department store.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Here's what they came up with.
Hey, we're twins.
The women chose matching florals. The men went for plaid.
You look pretty good in that. I think I like it.
And here they are in coordinating gray. Looks like these lovebirds really have found the secret to living in perfect harmony.
We will always be together long after graduation day.
This couple has special reason to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Woodstock. They met on their way to the historic music festival.
Was it instant romance?
Yeah,
There was a definite connection.
Oh, yeah.
One issue that's always troubled Judy and Jerry Griffin throughout their long marriage, they didn't have one single photo of themselves at Woodstock.
Over the years, people say, well, what was going on? Did you have any pictures? I mean, would people ask you?
Always.
What would they say?
They would say, do you have pictures of Woodstock?
You had no photos?
None.
For 50 years, they tried in vain to find images of themselves somewhere among the 500,000 fans who flocked to Woodstock. Then they went to see a new documentary marking the anniversary of Woodstock. And that's when they saw this.
I screamed, there we are.
Yeah, that rain-soaked couple wrapped in blankets is Judy and Jerry at Woodstock, the image they've been looking for all these many decades.
That's us. That was it. It was the first time and the only time that we've ever seen a photograph of us at Woodstock, and we've been looking.
Judy and Jerry were both 22 at the time.
You look so happy.
I was, yeah.
They actually asked the projectionist to replay that scene so they could take this photo.
It feels wonderful. To tell people that we were there was enough for me, but now we can prove it.
That's us at Woodstock.
Matt and Danielle Davis were only married for 7 months when Matt was in a devastating motorcycle accident in 2011, leaving him on life support and in a coma. Doctors told Danielle that there was a 90% chance that her 22-year-old husband would never wake up, and they recommended taking him off life support. But Danielle refused to give up and brought Matt home to take care of him 24/7. She would change his feeding tube, physically move him to prevent bed sores, and even administer his daily 20 medications. Remarkably, Matt opened his eyes. He began attempting to communicate after being in a coma for 2.5 months, but he had no memory of dating or marrying his wife. Danielle had been keeping track of his recovery and told CBS This Morning that she never lost hope.
Doctor said, if this were me, I would want my family to pull the plug.
You fought for me the whole time so hard.
Yes.
And if you're really thinking that's the reason I'm here today.
It has been 3.5 years since the accident, and with a lot of hard work and physical therapy, Matt has been able to do the unthinkable.
Do you have a good day?
Yeah. But the main question is, did my wife have a good day?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I had a great day.
No one ever imagined that he would be able to one day walk, ride a bike, rock climb, or even drive a car, but he has beaten all the odds.
What do you think?
I'm loving this.
Now Matt is off his medications, but insurance will no longer pay for his therapy. So the couple has started a GoFundMe page to help pay for his recovery.
Weddings are always emotional events, but this wedding in particular was especially poignant.
A beautiful bride is ready for her big moment, but that's not her father walking her down the aisle. He's the father of another young woman who, in a remarkable way, is responsible for making this wedding possible. His name is Daniel Donnelly. 5 years ago, his daughter Heather lost her life in a car accident. Thanks to her selfless spirit, Heather's body was harvested for organs, and a total stranger, Diana Donnarumma Crayer, received a life-saving small and large intestine transplant.
They told me they had the perfect match. She was only 1 year older than I was. She was about to get married, and she was this incredible person.
When Diana called her organ donor's father to thank him for the gift of life, she learned Heather had died right before her own wedding. Her father never had the chance to walk her down the aisle. That's when Diana asked him to be a very special part of her wedding.
I asked Dan if he would want to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. He said yes, and that he would be honored.
And that is how Daniel Donnelly came to be at Diana's side on the day of her wedding. Daniel shares a hug with the bride's father, and then with the bride.
Thank you.
Then Diana's father takes over and completes the walk down the aisle. The ceremony, picture perfect. Heather was also there in spirit. That's her framed photo in a position of honor.
I had a great time at that wedding. It was a blast. I was watching Diana on the dance floor dancing it up and picturing my daughter out there doing the same thing.
A bride whose big day was made possible thanks to a young woman she never met, who gave her the gift of life.
Every day, I live my life to try to honor this amazing person who saved my life.
More inspiring stories when we come back.
Here's a question. Why is this dog spinning in circles, dragging a broom around and around and around? Well, why not?
Welcome back to Inside Edition Inspirational. You can find love in the most unexpected of places, like this married couple who met while stranded together on 9/11.
My name is Nick Marson.
And I'm Diane Marson.
Nick and Diane met on the worst of days.
We were both traveling on an airliner on 9/11, 2001. The plane was diverted to Gander, Newfoundland, and we met in a shelter there.
I asked Diane if I could take the cot next to hers.
I mean, there were 60 or 70 cots in the room, so didn't really matter.
As we were both on the same flight, it seemed a start of a bonding relationship.
Out of that terrible event, their love blossomed.
It wasn't love at first sight.
It was just, each of us were there alone, and a lot of tragedy had gone on in the rest of the world, and you just wanted someone to talk to, I think.
I think at that point your emotions are on steroids, and it took 5 days for the relationship to blossom.
Everyone there in Gander and Gambo and Lewisport, all the little towns, took such wonderful care of us. They just put their lives on hold.
Newfoundland embraced its visitors as people like Constable Oswald Fudge stepped in and stepped up.
It takes nothing to give a person a hug. It takes nothing to say, you know, we love you, we care for you, we got you, we're here for you. What does it take? When it comes to, yes, we supply the food and the place to lie down and all that thing, but it was also those hugs that people really, really needed, and that's what they got.
We stayed in touch by emails and telephone calls.
I had this picture of Diane, and I needed to make sure that this lady who I'd fallen for in this 5 wonderful days really existed. It was still the same person. So I made an excuse that I needed to come to Houston and check on the work that I'd been doing, check on my project. Having done that, this is in October. In November, I'm back in England, and I'm in my car, actually, and I proposed over the phone to Diane.
We were married September the 7th of 2002, and we went back to Newfoundland for our honeymoon. Where else would we go? We spent it with the people that we'd met the year before.
Their story has been told in the Broadway musical Come From Away and the documentary You Are Here.
We have a big family up north now, because we had stayed in touch with the people we bonded with, the original ones. Plus, we've met all these people who are so wonderful. We've met them through Come From Away and You Are Here. And it's like a big family reunion when we get together.
You Are Here really confirms that everything you see in Come From Away has actually happened.
Diane and Nick say their time in Newfoundland reminded them of what was really important.
Kindness, care for others, compassion, putting yourself last and other people first, because the people in Gander and the surrounding towns, for 5 days, they just put their lives on hold.
The experience we had and watching the movie and Come From Away, you come out of those productions, you feel a lot happier. You're more giving to your neighbor. You'll let somebody out in the traffic, you'll say good morning. You do anything just to make their day a little brighter, and it doesn't cost anything.
I think it gives everyone hope that the world can be a better place, one person at a time, and it can start with you.
Kayla and Drew Gottfried were celebrating their 14th wedding anniversary with a very special private screening at their local movie theater in Eugene, Oregon.
She had no idea what movie she was going to see.
Kayla thought her husband had arranged for her to watch a favorite movie, Top Gun or Galaxy Quest.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Oh, shut up. But when the lights dimmed, what came on the big screen was their wedding video, which she thought had been lost for all these years.
How is this happening? How do you have these? I even tried to ask that, but I couldn't through the tears.
Kayla sat there in tears watching her ceremony from 2007 as she and Drew exchanged vows under a beautiful gazebo in front of 300 friends and family.
As soon as the gazebo popped up, I knew, like, this is our wedding. These are our wedding videos.
So how did their long-lost wedding video reappear? It was in a box of old tapes stored at their church and discovered by happenstance by the church's creative director, James Dana.
We had this old box of tapes. I just dug through here, playing things, popped it into the recorder, and there was Drew and Kayla.
Now Kayla and Drew have their memories of their wedding day, never to be misplaced again.
Yeah, we've got like 5 or 6 copies now.
Not losing it again.
Yeah.
This ring right here, lost for 47 years.
The year was 1973, and Deborah McKenna was in love with her high school boyfriend, Sean McKenna. He even gave her his white gold class ring.
I liked him. Yep. I knew that my dad would like him too.
But just 1 month later, she took off the ring to wash her hands. The next thing she knew, it was gone.
Of course, I was very dramatic and crying because I was 16.
The next ring Sean McKenna put on Deborah's finger was a wedding ring. They raised 3 kids and lived a good life until Sean died of cancer in 2017.
He was my whole life.
2 weeks ago, on Valentine's Day of all days, something amazing happened. She got a call from her high school alumni association. The ring she had lost in Maine all those decades ago had turned up 3,800 miles away in Finland, of all places.
Finland, I thought, no way. No way. How could it be in Finland?
The next thing she knew, the ring was back in her possession, mailed to her from Finland. There it was, the initials still there, SM, Sean McKenna.
He was the only one in his graduating class of 1973 that has those initials.
So who found the ring? This man, Marco Saarinen.
I never thought in all of the years that I would ever see this again.
I'm so happy you have this ring. I'm so happy.
Marco says he was treasure hunting in a forest. He showed Deborah the metal detector that led him to the ring, which was buried 8 inches underground.
That is so amazing.
Marco researched the school name, the year, the initials, and found Deborah through her high school alumni association.
When I heard that you were going to be sending it back to me, I started crying.
As to how the ring ended up in a forest in Finland, well, that's a great mystery that may never be solved. Deborah believes just maybe this could be a sign from Sean.
He never, ever believed in coincidences. He always thought things happen for a reason. He wants me to remember him.
Who sent these long-lost love letters?
Here are our favorite stories of old love letters, lost and found. This yellowed letter was found during a house renovation. It had slipped through the cracks of a staircase. It was dated lunchtime, May 4th, 1945.
Are you as lonesome for me as I am for you?
The letter was written to someone named Virginie, to dearest husband. The recipient was one Mr. Rolf E. Christofferson.
After I read it, I just knew that I had to get it back to who it belonged to, the rightful family.
In 2017, Melissa Fahey posted the letter on Facebook in hopes of finding someone connected to it. Just 2 hours later, jackpot! Here is Rolf Christofferson. He was in his 90s and living in Southern California.
Sweetheart, I'm longing for you to come home.
That's Rolf's daughter, Robin, reading the letter.
Dearest husband, I still have a few minutes on my lunch hour, and I'm dreaming about you, as I thought I'd write a little love letter to my favorite pinup boy.
Virginie passed away several years before the amazing find, but their daughter is grateful to have something of her mom.
It's a great insight into my mom's thinking and how She always was a very loving and committed wife.
The Christoffersons got to meet Melissa on FaceTime.
And I was just taken back by the words that she was saying and just professing her love.
We're very thankful. Thank you so much. It means so much to myself and to my father and the rest of the family.
Rolf, who served in the Norwegian Navy during the war, was thankful as well.
Thank you very much for saving that letter.
Oh, you're welcome. I was very happy to get it back to you.
And the letter brought back happy memories for Rolf.
She was a good-looking woman.
And these two best friends found a stack of love letters from World War II while they were antiquing in Tennessee.
Yeah, is it? Lots of I love yous.
What was it? My sweet darling.
My sweet darling. It would just say pet names throughout it too. They'd be like hun and all this stuff.
The writer was a sailor who shared his feelings.
Mostly that he was scared.
He was scared and he just missed his family. He missed everything back home.
That sailor was one Elias Maxwell, who was serving in the Pacific. His sweetheart back home in New Jersey was Elaine.
She always would mention that she wanted to be his wife.
Yeah.
Like in her closing, she'd be like, your wife, hopefully soon.
Lindsay and Megan bought these letters for $88.
They loved each other.
Oh yeah, you could
so much.
Just feel the emotion through it. Every time we would read it, we would just melt just with what they would talk about and how they would talk to each other. We were just like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet.
Yeah.
Intrigued, they did some investigating. They were able to find the family of those two lovers in New Jersey. It turns out Elias and Elaine got married in 1948. Both have since passed on, but their children got a special window into their parents' courtship.
Millions of kisses and hugs to you from me. Remember me, and then there's just all these X's. And millions.
They're all kisses.
And millions and millions more. So long, honey, nighty night. Don't forget to write. Sealed with a kiss.
If you had ever met my mother, you would know that was quite.
If you showed me that and said, did my mom do this? I would say no. So that's a part of my mom I didn't know.
Another sweet love letter was found in the crawl space of an Arizona home.
How I miss you, sweetheart. I could never tell you just how much. I love you with every breath I take. You're my love, my life, and my everything. And without you being with me, life is so very lonely. Good night, my sweet baby.
It was among a cache of letters a home inspector happened upon.
I have never seen anything like this. You always find junk up in there that nobody wants, boxes, old Christmas tree, stuff like that, but nothing like this.
The letters dated back to the 1950s.
You write them just the way I like. Then I can just picture what you are doing and it makes me feel like I am there.
Bob now wanted to track down the lovebirds or their families.
I know if it was me, if it was my great-grandfather, I would love to have them.
His search turned up the recipient's obituary. Roger Wright died in 1981. But thanks to these letters, their love story lives on. And a man can now relive moments from his parents' lives after Jerry Wilson found a trunk in his attic.
Like this incredible little time capsule of stuff that we discovered.
The trunk contained love letters, photos, and other mementos dating back to the 1940s. Jerry figured out the woman's name and used that to track down her son, Eugene.
I didn't know anything like that existed.
The find helped Eugene and his siblings learn more about their parents.
I knew she had served, she was a nurse during World War II. I knew my father, of course, was in the war. He was wounded in action in the Battle of Leyte. So what I didn't know was how they ever got together.
Stick around for more Inside Edition streaming.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times. Yeah.
What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do. Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel. I feel amazing. Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
Welcome to Inside Edition Inspirational. Let's start off with some serious girl power. These women did incredible things while pregnant. Anything you can do, they can do pregnant. This act was a family affair. When little Jalen wanted to whip and nay-nay, her mom and soon-to-be baby brother joined her. At 8 months pregnant, mom Nikki's dancing is impressive, but little Jalen stole the show. It was just supposed to be a fun video for their family and friends to see. But when Nikki posted the video on Facebook back in 2015, it got 22 million views in less than a week. A hip-hop dance teacher still had the moves 7 months into her pregnancy. Christina Little says she continued to teach and dance through her first 2 pregnancies, and she felt well enough to keep working through her 3rd. This video was taken during a class when she decided to join her students for their final dance routine. Christina says she was able to do all the same things she could before she was pregnant, and as long as her body was feeling good, she was going to keep on dancing.
Putting my shoes on has gotten a lot more difficult.
In 2016, Inside Edition caught up with Olympian Sarah Brown, who was still running 10 miles a day while 8 months pregnant. At the time, she was considered a top contender for the Summer Olympics, but she admitted that she wasn't training as hard as she normally would.
I'm now carrying a bowling ball on the front of my stomach, and that changes a lot on your body. Look at her hand.
While some questioned whether it was safe for her to continue with her training, Sarah said she always put her baby's health first. But she got the okay from her doctor to continue running. And just 36 hours after the interview, little Abigail Ann made her debut a little early, but still healthy.
The message that I really would want my daughter to take away from everything that I'm doing is that, go after your dreams and to not be afraid to try.
This mom-to-be wasn't taking it so easy, deadlifting 180 pounds at 30 weeks pregnant. Emily Breeze says she didn't see any reason to take a break from her CrossFit and weightlifting routine while she was carrying a child in 2016.
I figured I'm gonna stay fit, stay healthy, and I want to promote that to everybody.
Emily posted videos of her workouts to Instagram where she got a lot of praise and some questions about whether this kind of workout is good for her. The simple answer, she says, is yes.
You need to stay with what you have been doing prior. There's plenty of research out there that says a healthy mom and a healthy pregnancy will help create that healthy baby. And I'm just sticking to what I know. My body keeps telling me, yeah, everything looks good. Keep going.
Another mom experienced similar criticism for videos she posted of her deadlifting 275 pounds while she was 6 months pregnant.
I'm getting a lot of heat online that I'm crazy and that I am a terrible mother.
Yanya Militunovic says she's not doing anything unhealthy since she was doing all of this activity before she was pregnant. Doctors say it can be completely fine.
It depends on your level of activity. If you're used to lifting weights, then you're going to be a little different than somebody else.
Yanya's husband says he's not worried about his wife's or his baby's health, and he thinks people should keep their negative comments to themselves.
If you don't have nothing nice to say, it's the old saying, just don't say it.
If paralysis couldn't stop one determined woman from completing a half marathon, then pregnancy wasn't going to either.
I'm actually 16 weeks pregnant.
Claire Loomis was paralyzed from the chest down after she got a spinal injury during a horseback riding incident in 2007. But her disability couldn't keep her from her active lifestyle.
An ultimate training session.
With the help of a bionic suit, Claire was able to train and compete in a half marathon, which she used as an opportunity to raise money to help cure paralysis. It took her 5 days to cross the finish line, documenting her journey on social media. On her 4th day, she made the happy announcement to her followers.
Dan and I are very excited that I'm actually 16 weeks pregnant.
And this child already has one very inspirational mom.
This is one super mom. Daisy's got 8 little ones on her hand, all of them orphans.
It just kind of made sense to go with the litter that was orphaned, and it was just, meant to be. It was so crazy.
A few weeks ago, Daisy's own litter of puppies died, along with several other animals, in an accidental barn fire. Daisy seemed devastated, so Jackie Barnett from Oregon decided she needed comfort and healing.
When I went out there the day of the fire, she was kind of just, really distraught, and wasn't herself. Normally she greets you as soon as you get there, and you know, she's smiling and wagging her tail, and just her whole demeanor had changed.
So she went on Facebook in search of puppies in need of a mother. This litter eventually made its way into Daisy's heart. Once empty, now it's full of love.
Oh, really, honey? Is that right?
They're like a real-life version of This Is Us. A crew of 5, this Utah family does just about everything together. Meet the Waits, headed by Joseph and Shanna. They're excited about their newest and most stylish addition, 4-month-old Ani.
Oh, I love just kind of, we call ourselves the Oreo family. Milo and Ani look so much alike. They have so many similarities, and it's so fun to have that. And Nash looks so much like me and has a lot of my personality.
Mom and Dad have just adopted Ani. She and 5-year-old brother Milo both share the same birth mother. The Waits welcomed Milo into their lives when he was a newborn. Shanna and Joseph have been married for 9 years before they decided it was time for their family to grow.
We decided that we wanted to adopt. I tried to get pregnant. I'm a former dancer, and I had a lot of body image issues that made pregnancy like impossible for me at that time.
So they looked to a local agency, A Act of Love Adoptions, and found little Milo, who was born in 2013.
It really made our transition into parenthood really simple and really nice. We were glad he was our first.
In fact, Shanna says Milo was such a good child, he inspired her to give birth to 2-year-old Nash.
I was shocked. This is Nash. Can you say hi? With your bag of goldfish, huh? Without Milo, I don't think I could have had the courage ever to get pregnant with Nash. But because I had Milo and I had seen what he did for me and the way that he had impacted our lives and how much I loved being a mom.
The Waits thought their family was complete with just 4, but as fate would have it, they'd make room for one more.
You're cute. Hi.
The adoption agency contacted them at the beginning of the year, saying the same mother who gave birth to Milo would be having a daughter in February.
She was really young when Milo was born. She was 18, and then she was 23 when she had Ani. And she's just not in a place in her life where she can parent.
Initially, Shanna had her doubts. She wasn't sure if the family was financially prepared.
My first thought was just like, we can't do this. But then, after I got over that, I was like, okay, well, we should at least pray about it and decide if she's supposed to come home. Because if she's supposed to come home with us, then all the rest of the stuff really doesn't matter. And it will work itself out.
And yet again, it was Milo who helped sway the decision.
I heard Ani. She's snoring.
So he was determined from the beginning that we were going to take her home. There was no doubt in his mind that where she would be.
Now their days are filled with yoga sessions, feedings, story times, and even little chats.
Do they taste so good?
It's fun. I think I kind of have the best of both worlds because all my kids came to me in a way that they needed to come to me for me to learn the lessons I needed to learn in my life.
And this team, supported by their community, will continue to grow and learn together.
This is the amazing story of how a 13-year-old boy saved his own life after falling in a sewer.
It's a desperate search at LA's popular Griffith Park. A 13-year-old boy fell through this hole right into a sewage pipe on Easter Sunday. Jesse Hernandez was playing behind this fence inside an abandoned maintenance facility when a plank broke apart and he fell 25 feet down a pipe that leads to the Los Angeles River. It was a race against the clock to find the teen.
I'm at the entry site. The tunnel is about 3 foot wide, approximately 2 foot deep, with swift moving water.
They're harnessing up to go in.
Firefighters searched the LA River as desperate family members watched as rescue teams fanned out, having no idea where and if the boy would surface. Cameras were deployed to search a labyrinth of underground drainage pipes like these. You can just imagine the terror Jesse must have felt in the disgusting muck and darkness.
What we did is then work to get some other sophisticated cameras that are made to go in these pipes, that can crawl on the bottom, that can float on the top.
13 hours later, when all hope seemed lost, a miracle.
It's with happy hearts that all Los Angeles city agencies are able to state that we have found Jesse Hernandez.
The terrified boy had traveled 3/4 of a mile, ending up here underneath a manhole cover where two freeways meet.
Once they pulled the lid off the manhole cover, he was just like right there.
Firefighters say young Jesse was wise enough to look for light streaming through a manhole cover and waited there hoping to be rescued.
When we opened that hatch, there was Jesse, cold, wet, hunched over in a small pipe. And to the shock of those members, they were able to get him out, determine he's alive.
Covered in hazardous material, he was listed in serious condition and needed to be decontaminated, a process that looks like this.
You have a miracle that this boy is alive.
More Inside Edition Inspirational when we come back.
Up in the air fly these deer. A helicopter carries deer taken from the mountains in Utah. Staff will carry out medical assessments and equip each deer with a GPS tracking device before letting them safely go back into the wild. The Utah Division of Wildlife Resources flies about 1,200 deer per year using the GPS to track their migration patterns.
Welcome back to Inside Edition Inspirational. Here's how the TikTok sensation known as Your Korean Dad became everyone's dad.
What do you think $30 grapes taste like? Toot toot.
Nick Cho is not just your Korean dad. He's ours now.
Okay, moment of truth. Which one should I eat? Should I eat this one?
His sweet TikTok videos hit a nerve for so many.
Wow, really grapey?
Everyone feels so connected to your videos. How does that feel?
It's a lot to get so many responses.
You think I'm more like this?
Folks crying or expressing a lot of pain. But I'm happy that I'm able to provide an outlet.
You know, a lot of folks have sent me this duet. I'll let you in on a little secret. I watch every duet. And what I'm seeing from so many of you is that you're feeling a lot of feelings.
Even though Nick Cho's videos are upbeat, light, and peak dad,
I'm a cabbage.
Nick says he didn't anticipate the kind of impact they'd have.
So much of the response I get really is that there is that longing for unconditional love.
I just want to say, I'm so proud of you. It's a good thing to show your emotions.
And just to feel nurtured and being taken care of. And yeah, apparently that's a thing that is in high demand, but is a need that's not really being met out there. Not nearly as much as people need. And when you don't get that, and when you're not getting it consistently, because maybe you lost a parent, or you have parents, but they're not really there for you in the way that you need, then that kind of leaves a wound. Like it's a traumatic experience.
Hey, I'm your Korean dad. Thanks for coming with me on my errands. Glad you're with me. Get to spend some time together too.
How was it for you growing up? What's a fond memory of your childhood? Did you have a close bond with your parents?
I think that I had a fairly challenging childhood, being a child of immigrants and an immigrant myself, growing up as a Korean American in Northern Virginia in the 70s and 80s the way that I did. As with a lot of folks in America, I experienced a lot of racism and a lot of difficult times growing up. I spent a lot of time alone, but ultimately I feel like I was lucky to be able to really spend that time just experiencing, what was going on with me and with others. And ultimately, I think that I just grew up with a lot of feelings of wanting to just reach out and connect with other people, whether they're friends or family, and really get to know them. I'm the kind of person who, as soon as we sit down, I'll just start pouring out my inner feelings.
You want to learn how to skateboard? It's not a skateboard, it's a longboard. Okay, well, we got to be really careful. I want to teach you how to do this, but I don't really know how to ride it either.
I'm sure you didn't set out to kind of quote get TikTok famous. You were just doing this thing because, again, going back to what you said earlier, as a kid, you had this want to connect with people, and then who knew, you know, X amount of years later, these decades later, TikTok would exist and this would be the way you would do it.
I thought it would be fun and people would find it fun.
It's gonna be yummy.
One of my big objectives was that in America, you know, we live in a diverse country, but it's not diverse and equal in the ways that it needs to be.
Hey, I'm your Korean dad. Gonna cook some dinner tonight.
I call myself your Korean dad, but the main thing is that I'm a dad and that I'm a nice dad. You know, and this idea I think that we have when we talk about other races is that there's a lot of stereotypes, and I'm very intentional about subverting and not kind of playing into any of those stereotypes. I'll drop a little bit of Korean culture in there, Korean vocabulary here and there.
I'm making 깍두기 볶음밥. You're gonna love it.
That's a lot like what it's like to be a Korean American in America.
Okay, this one's for you, and this big one's for me.
I wanted to help sort of create that kind of bridge, whether it's in the forethought of people's minds or in the back of their minds, that, you know, Korean dad's a nice dad. Korean people can be nice people just like Black people or Latino people, anyone. We're all just people trying to survive, but we each have our unique characteristics that makes us who we are as a culture and as a people as well. And I thought that was an important thing.
Nick's 2 teenage daughters help him with the videos.
My daughters have said for years that they have friends who have parents who aren't always there for them in the way that they need, and that they appreciate that I tend to at least try to be there, even if I can't be there 100%. I'm not perfect. You know, seeing my sort of TikTok, your Korean dad persona, and hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of people reacting to it in the way that they do, they understand.
Hey, I'm your Korean dad. You wanted lunch at Five Guys. Here we are, but gotta put on a mask.
I get a lot of messages, I mean, maybe 100 a day of some sort, whether they comments or direct messages or these duets. But a lot of them are very personal stories of trauma, of grief, of just a lot of sadness and pain. But at the end of the day, they say that somehow I'm helping. And that's something that I don't 100% understand, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful, you know, for them and for their sharing.
How come you don't understand it?
I don't totally understand how I'm helping, but maybe that's part of the deal. Maybe it's that I'm trying to sort of be the purest form of myself in terms of how I express love and affection and nurturing as a father and as a friend in that way.
Hey, I'm your Korean dad. You wanted to get a haircut in a barbershop. This is where I get my haircut. Today's your turn.
And how people receive it, you know, sometimes we have our own intentions, but really the challenge is just living your life every day in a way that helps other people and doesn't hurt them, you know, both those things at the same time. And I guess that's hard. That's hard because we're all just trying to survive out there. I guess what I'm putting out is meeting people's needs in just the right sort of way. And whether I understand it or not, I'm just grateful for it.
Honestly, I could write you right now, to be honest with you. Just start balling on the Zoom and just make it.
There's something I want to tell you. You don't have to be strong. Whether it's our family, people in our community, or society, people are always expecting us to be strong. Like if you can't do it by yourself, there's something wrong with you. This is a lie.
For a lot of folks, they can be heartbroken and very sad. A lot of folks are really happy and they think it's really fun. And to be able to touch different people in different ways in that way that ultimately becomes help, most of all, I mean, that's a really special thing. And yeah, it's really special. Did you ever learn the finger hearts?
Thank you for bringing that up.
This is a thing kind of popular in Korea. It's called finger heart. You can do 2. John. There's also hand heart. And when someoe's far away, you can even do arm hearts. Whichever one of those it is, it means I love you.
Here are just some of our favorite teacher moments.
I cannot believe this. Let's look at some of our favorite teacher moments. First up, we start in Texas. When Miss Andrews' math students found out her beloved cat of 16 years passed away, they knew they had to do something special.
We're about to go surprise Miss Andrews because her cat died yesterday, so we brought her new kittens.
Rachel and her friends decided to surprise their teacher with not 1, but 2 new kittens.
Are these mine?
Yes.
Oh,
All of these shirts.
Mrs. Andrews was so shocked she cried tears of joy. Keeping it in Texas, students at Burleson High School threw their English teacher Kyle Simpler a surprise 59th birthday party after he told them he hadn't had a birthday cake in a decade.
Happy birthday to you.
The class pooled their money, got Simpler gifts, and a cake with Felix the cat on top.
Let me tell you that I was bored, and it was cool. Just these are great kids.
Matt Alzamora had never seen color in his life until this moment. The history teacher is severely colorblind, so his students raised more than $500 to get him special glasses so he could finally see the vibrancy he has been missing.
To think that they would do this for me is it's humbling. You know, like it really is humbling. I would have never done it for myself. So it's just incredible.
Back when J.J. Watt played for the NFL's Houston Texans, he surprised his fourth grade teacher with presents when he found out she was retiring after 41 years.
What are you doing here?
How are you?
Watt says Mrs. Keefe has been one of his biggest inspirations and encouraged him to follow his dream.
Look where he is now. You can do whatever you want to do.
Wait, so I can.
Whatever you want to do, you can do it.
She's the one who told me I could do it. You did.
This hardworking teacher from Alabama has received the surprise of her life.
Oh my gosh, like I cannot believe this.
After taking the bus to work for years, the teacher was gifted a brand new Ford Focus.
We don't want you to have to catch the bus.
So who is the generous benefactor, you ask? She's Courtney Adelaide, a parent at the school who happens to be the CEO and founder of a successful hair care company.
Wow!
What a birthday present. Substitute teacher Jose Villarruel was surprised with a $27,000 check. For years, the 77-year-old has been living out of his car, but the pandemic made things even worse once his hours were cut.
I couldn't possibly support my family and extended family in Mexico and rent an apartment in here at the same time with the type of income that I can have.
Former student Stephen Nava noticed his plight.
Like every day I'd go out to work like around 5 in the morning. I'd see him, going through his trunk. And I just felt like the need to do something about it.
An online fundraiser netted more than 5 times the original asking amount. And finally, Chicago high school choir teacher Gabrielle Watson took 7 months off to successfully fight multiple myeloma, a cancer found in white blood cells. She thought she was arriving at the Chicago School for Teacher interviews, but thanks to some of her former students, Miss Watson had another thing coming. They were secretly waiting to greet her.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Miss Watson, who has been teaching at the school for the last 17 years, could not contain her emotions hearing their rendition of Amazing Grace. Made that much more special by Peter Frank, one of her former students turned American Idol Season 10 finalist. He says Miss Watson once gave him a tux for a chorus competition because he couldn't afford one.
Because of you, I'm everything I am today. And I really thank you.
Amazing Grace, the thing all of these people have in common, going above and beyond to help the teachers who have guided them on the right path.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
Amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.